What's going on, y'all? Is Bryon and Bryan with the Foundry podcast slash live stream. This week's episode is a little bit of a diversion away from our typical talking about marketing and business stuff. It's still related, but it's not really. This is more talking about being the freelancer and the business owner and why it's so hard to mentally shut down when you have so much to do. And so we just wanted to have that conversation on here because we think it does add value to what we're talking about.
100%. I think it's important. It's been a topic on some of our groups that Bryan and I are in for the past few weeks, and I don't really know why. We're into this, just starting the second quarter of the year. Something's going on, and I can sense it. I see it myself. I see it with a bunch of business owners that I work with. People are, I don't know what the deal is. Everything seems heavy. People are overwhelmed somehow, and I'm not talking because I don't like to get into that stuff. I'm not talking politics or economy even, really. There's a little bit of that. I think people got a little bit of fatigue from news and all of the goings on there. But like what we're talking about is more like your daily life, just your business, your families, your goings on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That even when work's over, right, your brain keeps going. You can't shut it down. You're replaying the conversations you had all day long. You're thinking about what do you got to do tomorrow, you know? And then random responsibilities pop up in your head. Like I know this happens to me a lot where like even I'll use this for this live stream as an example. Bryan and I get on here and we go through these live streams and we both know that there's a ticking clock that, I have to go pick up my kids. Bryan goes picks up his kids from school.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems simple. It's not a big deal or anything, but like that's there. It's a constant decision fatigue that you have by, I'm done by like 5 o'clock mentally.
Yep.
I have to actively and with intention engage with my kids and my wife and stuff like that. The body stops, but the mind keeps going and going and going and going.
Yep. And I have to get in that mode where sometimes I will be sitting there at 9 o'clock putting the finishing touches on something, and I have to say, stop working, Bryan. It's okay to stop working. It's okay. And so a lot of times it's that freelance mentality where even though most, like if you have your conventional job or whatnot, 8 to 5, 7 to 4, however what your normal full time is, you're getting paid for those hours you're there, right? For the business owner, it's a 24-hour cycle, and it can really feel like any time that's not productive, you're wasting money. And especially in the freelance marketing thing, that's a challenge. Bryan and I have talked about it. I really have to enforce being able to create something that I enjoy on my own terms. And I have to almost treat that like a job and business in and of itself so that I can always have an outlet somewhere. And I'm starting to realize as things start changing around, the thing that has the best velocity is the fun stuff right now. That's the stuff that is getting the following, and that's the stuff that looks like it's on the path to monetization. And wrapping my mind around the stuff that actually brings me light and joy and happiness can actually eventually scale up and cover bills and stuff like that. But it's hard to believe because you're so used to your fun being your fun and your fun costing you. You're not used to the idea of fun possibly making something. But we're always available. I had a job where I was on call, and I was to the point where even if I wasn't on call, I'd tell my workers to call me. And so I was on call during my anniversary. I was on call during kids' birthdays and stuff like that. And if the phone rang, there wasn't a choice. It had to be answered because I was working with kids and families, working with people that are going through mental health crises and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't wait. And so constantly being accessible on the phone was my natural default. And it's hard to not keep it as my natural default. I still answer emails like at 8 o'clock at night. That's a boundary that I haven't really set for myself, and I know I need to set it, but that's kind of what I'm used to.
Yeah, same thing happens to me where like I have over the years learned, and I say over the years, it's really the last couple few where it's like I will not respond right away to anything, not because I don't want to or that I can't. It's that you're giving expectation to people that you are always on. Right. And I have not perfected this by any means because we're going to get into a couple of things here that where I really get stressors in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good about shutting down. That's not where my problem lies. I'm kind of the opposite where when I'm on, I want to do 45 different things,
Mm-hmm.
but only one of them matters, right? And that's we can get into that too, where it's like you have 100 unfinished things,
Oh yeah.
and you know that there's a path to, you know, growing your business, scaling your business, or whatever, but you ignore those, or you avoid them, or whatever, or you try to enhance them, and that becomes your fun hobby of like distracting yourself.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like, you know, I got to build this XYZ thing for a client. Ooh, but what if I build this ultimate thing that can like be the greatest thing XYZ on the planet
Yep.
instead? So I'll go, my ADHD kicks in and I go 5 hours that way. And it's like, whoa, you know. So that's where I have to learn to pull back and do
Mhm.
fewer things rather than all the things.
I think and it sounds like for me, it's kind of being addicted to starting things and not as
Hmm.
addicted to finishing them. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's a problem.
and then also being addicted to feeling like I have to over deliver because sometimes the effort that I feel isn't quite enough is more than enough for the person that is receiving it. But
Yeah,
I hold myself to the standard like this thing has to over deliver and overachieve in all facets. And I have these huge high level expectations to the point again where my boundaries are poor. Case in point, an organization I love to death. I work with them, been working with them, doing work for them for a long time. You know, was it last week before, I got a call, hey, we got an event coming up and we need 4 flyers by Thursday. And it's like Tuesday. And instead of saying, I'm not going to be able to turn it around that fast or there's going to be a rush charge to it, I was like, okay. But then I also said, you know, this is not enough notice uh, to really turn something around. So I'm going to just have to slap something together. And I slapped something together and it was more than what they expected. I could have put a boundary and said, I can't turn things around that fast.
right.
You know, a
I
48
can give
hour
you one.
window. Yeah. A 48-hour window for 4 separate flyers is crazy. I just have a
Yeah,
workflow where it allows me to do it. But just because I can do it doesn't mean I have to do it.
or should.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. Too many open loops. You know, that's where that kind of stuff comes into, because we do have problems setting boundaries because we do want to over deliver. I think, I don't know. I think it's just wanting to be, it's that productivity guilt. That's the word I'm looking for. And then wanting to over deliver, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's setting boundaries of like you said, you should be able to say
Right.
just flat out, like, no, that's not enough time to produce something that I feel good about. And, you know, and I think what you were talking about, the dichotomy is like what you and I think is a finished product is not necessarily where a client thinks a finished product is. They may be 20 steps back from where you're actually at and think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. When they start overestimating your abilities, like, you know, I made something that was amazing this last time. And they think, well, that's just easy for him to whip that up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you know I don't need a ton of a runway or heads up to do it. It's expectations I create
Yeah.
and the expectations I set for myself,
Yeah.
and the idea that I was taking time away from something, a project that was for me and something I'm trying to build to get this done. You know, like I was actually on in the studio I'm building out, and I stopped doing what I was doing to address this specific need and specific request.
Right.
And I got back, I got done with it, and I sent the work over. I'm like, why did I do that? Well, they needed it. Well, I know, but I needed to finish this thing I was working on. So now the thing I was working on has to kind of pinned for another day or two because I had to stop what I was doing to accommodate this. And so it makes it hard when you do have a personal life. You got kids and things like that. It's not fair to always rob them or try to deprive them of time and attention to accommodate other people's needs and other
Yeah.
people's
So,
requests.
so on that same note, like the reason I go, because my wife could go pick up my kids from school. The reason I go is it's something since my oldest went to kindergarten. I said to myself, I'm going to take them and pick them up from school every single day, as long as it's, you know, it's as long as it's doable.
Mm-hmm.
There's been times where I've had career jobs where I couldn't make it, but that is something I've set a boundary and said that's something I will do every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It gives me at least 20, 30 minutes with them to just talk about their day.
Yeah.
That's important to me. I've made it a priority. So that's the kind of things that we need to do. And I want to talk a little bit about, like, people talk about, like, because I've tried all of these things and I'm sure you have too. I have a timer right here on my desk for like the Pomodoro method and focus times and time blocking your calendar. I'm sorry, It
Yeah.
may work for some people, but that shit does not work for me.
No.
Does not work for, and I think it's an ADHD thing, and I hate to lean on that. I'm not a guy that's like plays the victim and like, I just look at ADHD as like it is what it is,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I have to like struggle around it.
it's because I've seen like and there's Pomodoro method, the GTD getting things done
Mm-hmm.
method, and I've tried to use the GTD method, and what that turned into was being obsessed with folders and
Mm-hmm.
dates and numbers on folders, and spending more time creating the optimal organization system for me not to use it and then keep iterating on it to make it better and never really using it the way it needs to be used. And the Pomodoro method kind of works for me because I can set work in a sprint, reward myself with
Mm-hmm.
distracted time. I could deal
I
with
think I
that.
naturally do that a
Yeah.
little bit. I don't do 20 minutes, but I do, I'm with you on that.
Right now, my nemesis is Notion because people tell me Notion is amazing. Notion is this, Notion is that. And I look at Notion and I try. This week earlier, I was trying to figure out how can I incorporate, if it's so amazing, how can I incorporate it into my workflow and incorporate it with my
Yeah.
AI? I can't make heads or tails of it, and I think a lot of it has to do with how my brain processes that stuff. It's too much.
100%. You're talking like the second brain method and all
Yeah,
that stuff. Like, yeah, like I can't get, I've tried it, man. And going back to GTD, getting things done system, you know what that did to me? I sat and built my own GTD software for like a week.
yeah.
And then like, what are you doing, man? Like get a notebook together and, I don't know.
What I
Yeah, I'm with you. My
what
brain
I
don't
need,
work that way.
what I need. And this is off topic, but this is this. If somebody could invent a digital AI or notebook where I could just info dump random things, whatever comes into my brain, and then it takes it and organizes and categorizes it into files and say, hey, this kind of relates to this, and plugs that thought there and this thought there and stuff like that, and organizes all that stuff. And I could say, hey, yeah, remember I need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and it will create dates. Like if I had a system where I could just brain dump everything in there and it could just organize it, it'll be it. I'd
I
buy it.
got you.
You know, yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
I'll build it tomorrow. But and maybe that's like, I know we talked about this. We're gonna get a little bit off topic, on topic. That's how we do here. But you say that, and that I get excited.
Mm-hmm.
My brain gets a dopamine hit. Like, ooh, I can do that. And it's like maybe that's the creator part of me that wants to go and do that and show people how that's done, and shoot a video and film a video of it and put it out there for the world to see. And that's what I should be doing because I love that.
Well, and here's the thing: for those that are
You know?
watching that don't know, Bryan is phenomenal when it comes to creating softwares and tools that solve specific problems he encounters. Building his own CRM and things along those lines. Like that's what he really is good at. The problem is it's the acclimation of too many tools in the toolbox, like the
Mm-hmm.
the the junk drawer problem, where you
Yeah.
have you have 1,000 different Allen wrenches and none of them are the right size for what you need.
Right. And I don't even have
And
anything to use an Allen wrench on.
right. And that's what it turns into. Like I'm sitting there thinking, shoot, if you made a GTD software, you should sell that to people that where GTD actually works for them and say,
Right.
here's the software I made and use it. It is addicting, especially, with the advent of AI, where you could just whip up a dedicated website to a specific thing that you need done, a web app for something that you need done. It's
Yeah.
really like I got 1,000 different tools and things that I've whipped up, and I'm like, this would be great, and then I forget I even created it.
Yeah. 100%.
So
Or you get to this, the problem I'm having right now is like I have on the back end of I've built for 531 Labs, I've built this complete like command center. It's like an admin station. It's got all the stuff that I do. It brings in all the sales calls. It has a sales pipeline in it. It has a CRM. It has, a project and task manager in it for me to kind of keep that stuff going straight. And it has a YouTube studio in it that can take, mark down scripts and stuff and turn them into actual scripts to use on a teleprompter and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, when do you stop and when do you actually just go,
yeah.
Go make money?
Yeah.
Do what you're supposed to be doing, run a business.
I think that's the thing though, because we talked about it off air, and I think it might be it might be on our outline, but doing 1,000 different things and only two of them are things that actually make you money. Everything else is
Yeah.
just kind of work that you do to feel busy.
And what's sad is like if I could shut my brain off better, because we're talking about this with you guys, but like we struggle with this as well. Like it's a
Right.
real everyday struggle. And I think what's funny is if you were able to shut down more and say there's 45 things you're trying to do and you only focus on two, less stressed I'd be. If I just had those two things and I just did those two things and finished those two things, I'd have so much more time on my hands to like not worry about things,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Instead, I do 43 other things in order to distract those other two things,
For me, it's doing the other things to work up to do those two things. Doing 48 things to work up to the two things that I need to do that I'm actually avoiding, but the two things will not take me any time. Like it'll take
Correct.
me 10 minutes of dedicated work and the thing is done. But I have to do these 48 other things. That's the other 6 hours of time to get myself in
Man.
the mode to attack those two things. And I think that's the challenge.
Yeah, sometimes you just feel it makes you feel like you're broken, but you're not
Yeah.
broken, I promise you. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and not to get too salesy on people, but this right here is exactly the kind of thing that will be inside the foundry. And if you don't know, Bryan doesn't know that I'm well, I did tell him the other day, but
Mhm.
we're adding people into the foundry. We got I think 8 new members coming in, and these people are ready to go,
Yep.
right? And this is the kind of content we want to push out there. Not all things are going to be mental, woo woo therapy type stuff,
Right.
but because I'm full and Bryan's full of our toolboxes are completely full of tactical information and how to get things done and grow your business and scale your business.
Right.
It's almost a non-issue for me. Anytime someone has a question about their business or they have an issue, they walk up to me, I can fire away almost instantly. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm saying 40 plus years experience between the two of us allows us that bit. But there are things like this that take hold of you
Yeah.
and can crush you on an almost daily or weekly basis or whatever that are completely stopping you from growing your business. And once we help you get over those humps, because we can help, accountability is probably the best thing for me to get things done.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but there's nothing stronger to me than that. So if we can form some sort of symbiotic accountability system within the foundry, that's the idea,
Yep.
that we can all scale up together and we're in it with you. I don't know where I was going with that, but join the
That's
foundry.
Yeah, join the foundry, guys. I mean, that's really the crux of it. And I think having a community like that, like again, this is how we want to moving forward in the future. This is how we both want to consult with clients, where it's more of a ongoing conversation and different threads of conversations, where we're engaging multiple people, and there's a support network where people can help other people kind of solve their problems, or as opposed to the traditional consult model where you're the expert in the box. um, I think it's more interactive, and so that's what the founder is. It's a more interactive way for us to engage clients, and for them to get value from us, and things along those lines. And I think maybe that's where we're going with it. Unfortunately, there's so many. Here's the thing, and we talk about it all the time. Marketers are the worst at marketing their own wares. The marketers that are really good at marketing themselves are typically salesmen first. They're primarily salesmen. Marketing is second, but they're primarily sales. And so that's always been the challenge when we have ideas or things like this, specifically like the Foundry. We want to demonstrate the value so badly that sometimes it's nerve wracking to even announce the thing, because we're really, 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 really hoping people get the value out of it like we
Yeah.
intended it to.
Yeah, I don't have that part of my brain is not. I mean, I can sell, I can do those things, I can close, but typically it's because I've already done all the pre-work and warmed the client up or had a real discussion with them and they see the value I provide. I do a very long way of selling because
Mm-hmm.
I want people to know, like, and trust me before they buy from me. And sales guys, and I'm not throwing any shade here, they're built different where they can say and do the things that convince people,
Yeah.
you know, because you can be an honest sales guy and be really good at sales, and that you're selling a product people need and they need it and it will be helpful and whatever,
Yep.
that's easier for sales guys to sell because they have that brain. And some of that stuff's cringe to me, which is hard for me to get past. But it's like, I was watching I think it was a Hormozy video, and it just came out, and he said the straightest path to income for any business is sales and embracing the cringe.
Yeah, you got to.
It's hard for me.
Yeah, because you're so tied to the outcomes, and I think even when we have 100% faith in the thing that we are selling, we know that there are nuances to how people apply it, and it's not going to work for everybody. And so there's always that persistent fear in the back of your brain, like, what if this doesn't work for this person? I've encountered that with a client where it was two ends of people working in kind of a Google ads thing,
Mm-hmm.
and my approach was super stripped down, and their approach was using and the other side was, a whole bunch of things that aren't necessarily related to the local market. And I'm sitting there like, the little amount of money I'm trying to use was actually effective, but I'm still comparing myself to this thing that existed for this all this time that was really just burning through a lot of money with minimum return.
Right.
But I was expecting my little contribution to it to be a game changer. I've done it with there was another local business where I'm like, hey, you guys need to be advertising on Google. And knowing how our Google advertising works, it's going to be about a month or two before you can start expecting the increased volume in calls and stuff like that. And when after 2 weeks the calls weren't rolling in, and they're asking, well, I mean, we're paying for the Google thing, when we're going to start seeing the result. I'm like, and I know how long it's going to take, but even then I'm like, oh my God, let me see what I can tweak and all this other stuff. Like, it's a frustrating game when you're applying it, especially when you are tied to the outcomes, when you feel accountability.
And I like what you said there with like the where it's like we understand that there's nuances and stuff, and people won't apply it right, and that's why it's harder to sell for me anyway. And you say that to somebody like Hormozy, where he's like, well, you said to Alex Hormozy, you said, hey, I have a problem selling to clients because of the outcome, and they didn't listen, they didn't do it right. Mm-hmm. He would tell you straight up, well, tell them they did it wrong, and that's their fault. Move on, sell some more. Yeah. Like, that's hard. That's the cutthroatness you have to, because for every one of those persons, there's another one out there that follows you to the T and has super success and does very well and becomes a referral source and becomes a case study for you, and I always forget that stuff. Yeah. I forget that I get so myopic into the one client that I'm selling to, right? Like they're the only one in the world. And I feel like that's, you're providing value because you're treating them like the only one in the world. But then you realize, like, no, sales is a numbers game, and it always has been and always will be.
Yep. And one client and if you've ever been in the position as a marketer where you're only serving one client, you're kind of you're occupying a danger zone. When that one client
100%.
you're forced to occupy all your attention because that's your single biggest client. I've lived in that space. That is not a happy place to be, because you're always on the razor's edge of, we decided to go a different direction.
Yep.
That means another marketing agency came and undercut you, and they offered more for less, and in 6 to 8 months they'll be out the door themselves. And that's the churn of the business. I think that's the hardest part, because I have accountability for the outcomes, and I do feel like I put some of my artisticness into my marketing. Mm-hmm. And when it doesn't work, or, if it turns into, well, we're getting results, you're doing great, but we're going to go in a different direction, that still hurts. Because it feels like a rejection of the art and everything. It's a challenge, guys. And what we're saying, the reason why we're being this transparent, guys, is because it's something that we know other business owners feel. We're talking about it from a marketing perspective, but we would love to hear your perspective from your industry, and why it's hard to disconnect, and why it's hard to let go, and why it's hard to relax and use your leisure time. We want to hear from you in the Foundry, so go ahead and join, comment wherever you're seeing this, and let us know.
And I'll tell you, I'm going to throw this out there. Bryan might hit me offline, but the first person that sees this video and can comment to Bryan or I with the word, I want the Foundry, I'll let him for free.
You're in.
I'll pay it.
I'm with it.
Okay. So the first person that sees this video, now there is one caveat. You have to come in. We'll send you a code, and you have to actually do. What's the word I'm looking for? You have to actually.
You have to engage. You have to engage.
Be active.
Ask
be
questions.
active.
take the courses that we have,
Yeah.
give feedback, things along those lines. Even asking questions, like you can ask questions and that helps out.
100%.
How do I do this? How do I do that? What's you guys' take on this? That kind of stuff is engagement, and it helps us out because it allows us to contribute.
So yeah, first person that sees this and wants to join the Foundry, you DM Bryan or myself and say, I want the Foundry, and we'll let you in for free.
Yep. Yeah, I like that deal. I'll go with it. So
Okay.
jump on in, guys. The water's fine.
So to wrap this one up, it's a short one today. We had some technical difficulties with my camera for whatever reason, and it kind of held us up a little bit. Not to mention, hell, I'll be vulnerable here. I was in the wrong streaming platform altogether. So
It happens.
Bryan was waiting for me. I was waiting for him. And anyway, let's wrap this one up and say, listen, don't be the piece that you're looking for. You know, create space in your days for yourself, for your family, for not thinking about this stuff. I know that's hard. It's hard not to think about this stuff. Meditate, pray, do whatever do whatever you think you need to do. Go fish. I like doing that. Go for a walk. Bryan and I both like to go to the gym and lift heavy things and put them down. Those kind of things. You can't really think about anything else when you got, 1,000 pounds on bench press.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But you can't think about anything but that moment. So that's why that stuff's good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a woo-woo therapy talk today, but I dig it.
I mean, and I would say this: schedule things that you enjoy and treat them the same way that you would treat things that you have to do. Treat the things you enjoy as things you have to do, because that's the only way you're going to ever derive the benefit of doing the things that you actually enjoy. I think too oftentimes we allow things that give us energy in life, we allow those to take a backseat for the things we have to do. And then you're sitting up looking up one day and say, I haven't done this thing that I really liked in a long time. So I would say, really, guys, schedule those things and make sure that you protect them in your calendar. Once or twice a week, it's got to be scheduled for you. And it could be the thing that you like to do and you don't get any money for it. Or it could be something you like to do and it does pay you. It just doesn't pay you what you need. Scheduling stuff that you like to do. And that's what I'll leave you guys with.
Yeah, same. I think ultimately, and I think this is maybe a topic for another day, is what we want people to do is grow businesses that they love. And if they don't love the business they're in, we want you to grow a business enough to get out of it and go do what you love. I mean, that's my plan. I know that's similar to what Bryan's thinking. I don't want to close my company. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I want to get it and grow it to a point where I don't have to be the one solely responsible for every single thing all the time.
Yeah. Pushing into action, constantly locked in the hand-to-hand combat. Some days you just want the system to work for you as opposed to you working on the system.
100%.
So that's what we got, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Check us out. You're going to be seeing this on Spotify. Once I figure out how to get everything uploaded to Apple and all the other platform providers, you're going to start hearing us there too. Join the Foundry. If you want in, go ahead and drop the DM in the comments saying I want the Foundry, and we'll let you in for free. That's what we got.
Perfect.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.